sheepskin homes, we weather the cold forever, trying to ignite a spark with sticks and stones together. Never having much luck, we just seem to be stuck.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the Robot Wars Review. In last time's episode, we saw Robot the Bruce basically cruise its way to victory as Dreadnought went up in flames. So for this episode, it is the special. It is the Featherweight special, which is effectively a Featherweight championship. Joining me for tonight's episode is friends of mine, Mystic and Babbit.
What up? Woo!
You guys might know Mystic from my channel before. He's been in a couple of my Let's Play videos and stuff, so here he is on the Robot Wars Review.
Indeed, and it's great to be back on my channel.
Yep, so we'll get into the introduction of the robots thus far.
Hang on. Mystic gets an introduction and I just get a name check.
Mystic is Babbit is Mystic's mother.
Thank you, that'll do.
For a second there, I nearly said Mystic is Mystic's mother.
That would be a good fucking trick.
Yeah, indeed.
I am the person I am the one person in this episode who is old enough to remember this being broadcast.
To be fair, the only episode I can remember from the beginning is Heat C of Series 2, so... But yeah,
and I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it right here at the top of the thing. I avoided Season 1 of Robot Wars despite loving all things engineering because I can't Jeremy Gammon Clarkson.
Oh, don't worry, we all hate Clarkson here.
Hey!
I'm in good company then.
I mean, literally in the first episode, I called him the local knobhead.
There is a village missing its idiot, you know?
Absolutely. So, we'll go on to the robots then. So, the first one is Vector of Armageddon. It looks like a mini version of La Machine from the US Robot Wars, when it was a middleweight. However, we got featherweights for this one, so... La Machine shrank in the wash, let's just say.
That's a good way to put it.
And it has a top speed of 20 miles an hour, so it's one of the fastest robots in the series, but it's not the fastest robot of this episode. So...
Well, yeah, I have seen... I have a funny note that actually describes later.
Yeah, so next up is Crazy Tokyo from... close to my hometown, but they're from Milton Keynes.
It has to be spelled in a unique way because as Caddy says, because it's cool.
Spelled with a K.
With the completely Slade-esque spelling in this. I mean, really?
So it's the second lightest robot in the episode at 3.2 kilograms.
Wow, that's tiny, man.
And next up is Cunning Plan.
As I have noted down, Baldric.
Baldric the robot, driven by Oliver Steeples.
You can't go wrong with the Blackadder reference, really. So
the best way to describe it is it
Reading.
Yeah, it's a small kind of silver wedge robot. It kind of looks like Cruella from the previous episode. If Cruella got shiny and then got put in a trash compactor. Next up, we have Saturn, it's a very strange looking robot with its horns and design, and looks pretty long in a way.
Indeed,
it's decidedly odd.
And the one after that I see is Bugs. Bugs is the next one. It looks kind of odd to me.
It's kind of cute in a strange kind of way, and it got caught on the grill.
Yeah, it got caught on the grill. And last up, Demolisher comes out to greet the arena and drives itself into the sidewall and halfway out of the arena.
Which is just spectacular, because, like I said...
that's an L moment, really, isn't it?
It got stage fright and committed harakiri.
Can I just say, Bugs, it does look like a weird kind of between a ladybird and a scorpion. It's like those two somehow got busy, and you ended up with a robot.
A scadybird or a lorpion. But the things to note about Demolisher is top speed 40 miles an hour.
Oh, that's how quick it was going when it went into the wall.
It's so fast they can't even control the damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's the lightest robot. It's the lightest robot in this episode. It's 2.9 kilograms. Which is, Christ, that's light.
Yeah.
Like, if we were playing football and Demolisher was the ball and you kicked that thing, well, one, you'd have a broken toe.
Yeah.
And two, that thing would probably sail over the goal, over the rows of crowds, out the stadium and just hit someone in the local shop.
Yep. It would sail over the car park and people would be going, shit, it's a Scud missile. Sorry, can I just say, from a completely irrelevant point of view, oh my god, Philippa Forrester, pure eye candy.
As I've already said,
in one of the group discords that I had posted the previous episodes in, that apparently someone there knew one of the teams who had gone, or one of the people from the team, but apparently that person had only just gone as a hanger-on because he wanted to try and meet Philippa. I don't think it worked.
Philippa Forrester always was to Robot Wars the eye candy with added brain.
Absolutely.
You know,
kind of like in the live action one specifically, because she has a bit
live action Scooby Doo. You mean?
Yeah.
Okay, just clarify this. Yeah, she's kind of like Velma's smart with Daphne's hotness.
Pretty much.
She's the hot Velma from Scooby Doo 2. When Velma decides to.
Oh yeah,
you've seen the live action Scooby Doo 2, right?
Yes.
And when Velma decides she's going to make herself all hot for the date with the curator guy.
Yeah, I've seen that.
With the jumpsuit and everything.
Philippa Forrester.
Absolutely. So those are our robots, and we're going to watch them crash and burn in the gauntlet. So then, the first person to take up the gauntlet is Cunning Plan. So it races out, bashes into a maze wall, and then drives through, as Babbit has noted, goes through backwards.
It took me a minute to realise, because it's that weird wedge shape, but it's slightly asymmetrical. So the back of it is steeper than the front. That's how come I noticed that it was going backwards. And I'm like, what? Did he do that on purpose? Because if he did that on purpose, that's kind of genius. If he did it by accident and the look on his face suggests that he might have, and he's... Either way, fair go. He made a good run of that.
Yeah, he got stuck on the spikes, but surges to the end zone, almost chucks himself out of the arena, though.
Which is Demolisher's trick.
That's such a pattern in this episode, because everybody seems to be trying to throw themselves out of the place, so it's like, what the
Yeah, so next up, course completed for Cunning Plan, so they're safely through. So next up is Crazy Tokyo. Drives itself into the arena wall at first. They're having a laugh as they're driving the thing.
That's the thing that I always have loved about Robot Wars. Although it is incredibly technical and very complicated, 95% of the people who are in it for shits and giggles.
Pretty much.
They're not up themselves about it. They're just doing this to see what they can make it do.
Yeah. So as they're going around, they veer towards the Lancers, get past the springs, but they get stuck on one of the springs.
And Matilda comes over and tries to attack them, and also gets caught.
And looks like she's lit up a nice big blunt with the amount of smoke she's producing. Either that or a gasket's gone.
She's probably stuck on that spring, turning to the house robot is going, I thought it was a fart.
Fart lighting contest.
But
Tilda is the big badass mama of the housebots, really, isn't she?
Pretty much.
She is the one that you do not mess with.
Mm-hmm.
However, good run though. 12.65 meters, safe enough to get through. And if you put that gauntlet run that Crazy Tokyo did in any episode from Series 1 and Series 2 of gauntlet runs, it would have got through in every single episode. So,
And, you know,
I can't say further than that.
that's... like Elliot says, you cannot say fairer than that. I mean, you've got to bear in mind, these guys were in uncharted territory doing this, so it's fascinating to go back and watch it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Here's two that we basically don't have that much to talk about because they're basically the blink and you'll miss it runs of the gauntlet. So first up is Saturn. Decides to take on the house robot route, gets past Sergeant Bash, gets a great dodge round Matilda to get through, completed the course. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Nippy little thing. Honestly, you look at the maneuverability of that, and it's really surprising.
Yeah, it kind of belies its appearance and all.
Yeah, because it looks as weird as hell when it comes out. That's the one that comes out with the L plate on, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
And you look at it going,
Like the horns.
oh, this ain't going to do much. And then you just go, what did...
I just
where did that
realized. If Iron Bull became a Roboteer.
If Iron Bull became a Roboteer, Jesus God. Everybody take a shot. Elliot mentioned Dragon Age.
If we let him mention Dragon Age on every single episode, we'd all be comatose by now.
Yes.
Hanging around with him in Dragon Age, it, as a drinking rule, is capable enough of poisoning you by itself.
Yup.
So next up,
We've extended the rule. It also now includes Fire Emblem. If you mentions that, you have to take a shot too.
okay. So also, Demolisher's run next. It's noted that the driver is the youngest person in the series thus far at just 10 years old. Which,
God.
God bless him. And then the first run now, race past Sergeant Bash, get to the end zone, blink and you'll miss it. They just speed through.
Like, zoom!
But it moves like one of those mouse droids from Star Wars. It's like... All it's missing is the sound effect. Either that or it's the R2-D2 scream because it just goes across the floor. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But
We've made a note that someone should edit over Demolisher's run, just someone screaming over the top of it. But I timed it. It was 11 seconds. Think about that for a second. 11 seconds.
it's nothing, is it? It's like half as long as you're supposed to wash your hands for.
I think that's the fastest gauntlet run ever.
Which is
That's
incredible.
Outstanding.
Next up, we get Bugs' turn. I'll let Babbit take over for this one because she's got quite
we're
the hell
talking
of notes.
Talking about studying contrasts here, okay? If Demolisher is a mouse droid and moves... Frankly, Demolisher goes like stink off shit. It's like a pregnant fucking yak. It has all the maneuverability of a Sherman tank. And it looks... God, it looks like a Henry Hoover that got the Black Plague.
I think as well the funniest way I've seen it steer around and how steady it is, like it's slow and steady in a way, and how it's weird in its direction. It's like going round. I liken it to going around your nan's house, and it's like watching your nan trying to get out of a chair in about 4 or 5 different stages.
Yeah, that would be about right. In all fairness, though, Moves Like a Pregnant Yak is not mine. It comes from a movie. For the life of me, I can't remember what it was called, but it was very funny. It was a martial arts thing from the 80s. No, but Bugs moves like a bag of crap, honestly. And when Jonathan Pierce, God love Jonathan Pierce, Robot Wars would not be the same without that voice commentating. And he says about it being made from vacuum cleaner parts, I nearly fell off my seat. I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't wrong. It is related to Henry Hoover.
They cannibalized a Henry Hoover to make this thing. The monsters.
That would be about right. They killed a Henry, and it's got that weird big thing, which I thought, first time I saw it, I have to admit, I must have been looking at it back to front because I thought the trunk-looking thing was actually supposed to be at the back of the robot to make it look like a scorpion, which would kind of make sense with the whole bug thing. But no, that's the front of the damn thing. And you go, it doesn't make sense. But honestly, I've never seen any... The only thing that I've ever seen that was weirder looking than that was also red with black spots, and that was Deator.
Yes, Deator.
We've already established Nemesis earlier on in the series, so... in episode 1 where they caught fire, hooray!
Yeah!
So, last up we have Vector of Armageddon, driven by Adam Clark, and his really nice-looking beard.
That is, in fairness, an impressive beard. He is one of those guys who does look like he's got his head on upside down, though, with the beard and the chrome dome. But hey, it's a look, and he's working it.
It gets weirder when he goes clean shaven, because I'm used to him being clean shaven, but then after seeing him with a beard, I'm thinking I can't see him with anything else but a beard now.
Yeah, some people just suit a beard.
Yeah.
Some people with glasses.
So Vector does quite well at first, goes up the ramp route, steadily makes over the first ramp, takes a little run up for the second ramp, but gets completely beached on the second ramp. The ground clearance is too low to the point it cannot move.
Yeah, that's the difficulty when you try. That's the difficulty that he's got with. I mean, it's like 1 millimeter clearance. You take that at the wrong. You take any slope at the wrong angle, and you're going to end up levering your wheels off, and you lose drive. And that's exactly what happened to Vector of Armageddon. And it's a shame that it basically ends up disqualifying him, because I would have loved to have seen what else that bot was capable of.
Well, here's the sad thing. You put that 8.55 millimeters meters cleared, and you put that in any other episode as well, that would have got you through.
Yeah,
just unlucky.
It was just pure bad luck that he ended up out. But I would have loved to have seen more of what that bot was capable.
Well, a fun bit of trivia is, as of Robo Nerd last year, Vector of Armageddon shell is still in one piece.
Really? You've got to admire the durability of some of these machines, you know?
Absolutely. So, with Vector of Armageddon eliminated, we now move on to the trials. So here we are with the stock car racing. So it's the first robot to make it to 3 laps, ends the entire trial. Whoever covers the least distance or the least amount of laps is eliminated. So the first thing we note is Demolisher right from the start almost gets thrown over.
Yeah, there's that spectacular side swipe as they start out, and you think, how's he going to recover from that?
But then it manages to right itself. Crazy Tokyo got off to a false start, which we will go into an elaboration on after the trial is wrapped up. But Demolisher goes round and it's just mopping the floor with everybody else. I feel like this is one thing. Oh.
Yeah, Demolisher goes new. It reminds me of the bit where Captain America's lapping Sam. On your left.
Yep.
Yeah.
Demolisher just goes, see you suckers, and laps everybody until
do you know what I think as well? I think Vector of Armageddon would have been quite good here. Because Vector was the second fastest, so they could have probably matched Demolisher lap for lap.
And that would have been a great race to see. And it's just such a shame that as he comes around that last corner, Demolisher takes the corner too tight, hits it, and flips, and ends up turned turtle. Then at that point, there is nothing they can do, and they are stuck there.
And at that point, as they tipped over, Cunning Plan, who's currently in second at this point, has just finished its first lap.
Yeah.
So Cunning Plan then whips back.
Lead on someone.
So Cunning Plan whips back round. At this point, Crazy Tokyo has actually broken down. So Cunning Plan comes back round on the final lap, and as he's going towards the finish line, he spots Demolisher and wedges Demolisher with the intent to help Demolisher get over the finish line.
Which is lovely sportsmanship. I mean, he basically, and this goes back to what I was saying, 95% of the guys who were involved in Robot Wars from day one were in it for shits and giggles and let's see what we can make these robots do. And it wasn't bitter, it wasn't horribly competitive, it was...
well, it may have been in the first episode.
Well, it wasn't for a long time. There was a lot of what I would call really good sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Throughout everything that I ever saw of Robot Wars. And that moment where Cunning Plan tries to help Demolisher, the intention is lovely, but unfortunately the execution leaves something to be desired because he ends up shoving him halfway up a wall.
I think what happened as well, didn't the horns, like, from Demolisher's back get stuck under Cunning Plan, which caused it to kind of stop, like, not have proper control?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, those defensive spikes got in the way.
Yeah.
It was well intended, but ended up being a bit disastrous.
Indeed.
So, Cunning Plan finishes the race. The others manage to complete at least one lap, and Demolisher completes 2 laps, so they're safely through. And Crazy Tokyo broke down as eliminated. However, we get an explanation that post-match that Crazy Tokyo's controller is on the same frequency as somebody else.
Now, this was always a bane for me. Robot Wars. You should not have a situation where you've got frequency conflict. It should be resolved in the pits beforehand. Everything should be tested, and you should be making sure that this does not happen, because it interferes with the capacity of the robots to perform at their optimum. You're always going to have problems with frequency issues with remote control devices anyway. But when something is as competitive and maneuverability as important as it is in Robot Wars or even in BattleBots, you should be resolving these issues ahead of time.
Yeah, because it's. I think to this day we don't know which robot it was that was on the same frequency as Crazy Tokyo.
Perhaps we'll never know.
So I kind of feel sorry for them in a way.
And Clarkson is unfortunately very dismissive of their problem, which to me suggests that he doesn't actually understand the issue.
He's basically just a face, really. He doesn't understand what's going on. I think if this was Craig Charles, he would be a lot more sympathetic.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need, really.
There's a charisma black hole in this first season that
and it rhymes with Keremy Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, you know, in his black leather coat nicked from the BBC Nazi wardrobes.
That's pathetic, eh?
Well, he does though. He looks like an extra. He looks like a blooming.
Hello?
He looks like a Gestapo extra from a low in that.
And as I said, he looks like someone who'd go down the local supermarket and start feeling up the local fruit and veg.
In a very suggestive manner. Oh, milky.
That was disturbing. And swiftly moving on, we go to the head-to-heads.
Children, go and look up the Mary Whitehouse Experience. You'll then understand.
Okay, so swiftly moving on, we're going to the head-to-heads. So we come to the head-to-heads, and I feel like for this episode we finally should give a bit of credit to and talk a bit about the judges.
Oh, the judges.
Indeed.
It's got to be said. The judging panel can kind of gloss over because only one of them really. It's almost like it's almost like in Highlander there can be only one. Only one judge has survived the process, and that is the immortal Professor Neil Sharkey of University of Sheffield Robotics Department and later Nesta.
Yep, and he's the only judge. Him and Jonathan Pierce are the only 2 people to make it from Series 1 all the way till Series 10.
Jonathan, super excitable, sounds like he's going to bust a nut doing the commentary. Pierce, we love him. He is the voice of the fans in this because we're all getting hyper and Pierce is just there with us. He's brilliant. If they ever tried to put another voice in that commentary box, it just would not work.
Oh, okay, then I won't bother.
Love you desperately, but Jonathan Pierce has got it.
Yeah, so we get the draws as well, so we find out who's fighting who. Cunning Plan is drawn up against Bugs, and Philippa asks Oliver what's his weapon to face Bugs. He goes, I've got a sticker. That is pretty much answers on a postcard, please. I love Oliver Steeples. I feel like in a way he's deliberately being comedically awkward.
No. You can't put that level of awkward on. He's just pure laconic, almost telegraph about the whole thing. He says as little as possible, but he looks like he's auditioning for the Milky Bar Kid Goes to College.
Pretty much.
Just expect him to say, the Milky Bars are on me!
Well, considering something that happens in the Series 1 Grand Final, a heavyweight robot is on him. So, meanwhile, Demolisher are apparently disappointed that they didn't get a shot at having a go at Bugs, which is quite interesting. Demolisher versus Bugs, you've got a 40-mile-an-hour robot, and then you've got the vacuum cleaner of death that can't even steer itself out of a clear fog.
I mean, there is no contest there, is there?
But they think they'll do well against Saturn. Saturn are quite confident that they might get a win. So we go into the matches. So first of all, we get Bugs versus Cunning Plan. Cunning Plan kind of races out. Bugs kind of... I'd say... I don't want to...
I don't ballet dance. I'm sorry.
I don't want to...
Little circles.
I don't want to, bash the Bugs team. I don't want to bash anybody, but at the same time, I'm not sure if it was difficult to control or anything, but it's steering like a drunk guy who couldn't get back into a nightclub, so decided to take a crap in the alleyway and is now struggling to pull his trousers back up.
Yeah. It's so uncoordinated and directionless. It's a shame, really. It could have done so much better. But then again, Cunning Plan is just a stupidly good machine. I mean, these are all incredible when you consider the weight and size of them. What they've managed to do within those limitations is amazing.
Yep. Cunning Plan gets a nice wedge in as well, fails to take advantage, but Bugs' poor driving eventually sees it stuck on the grill, and it is eliminated from the competition.
And Dead Metal comes in for the kill in a big way.
Yeah.
Kind of harsh in a way, considering Dead Metal's 120 kilos, and he's taking out a robot that's 7.
Ouch. Yeah, but it's okay, now I get to splat the bug.
Pretty much. So next up we have Demolisher versus Saturn. So Demolisher dodges the first attack. Saturn does get a slam and a push. Demolisher gets away. I feel like up until this point, Saturn was very much on top of the fight.
Absolutely. I mean, consider even within, the fact that these are all featherweight machines, Demolisher is incredibly maneuverable.
It's kind of like
size,
putting a bull in against the fighter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there is a degree of that. The fact of its lightness, I think, is Demolisher's weakness, because it just has not got that low centre of gravity and stability.
That oomph.
It's also lacking pushing power, I guess.
The thing is, if it had a lower centre of gravity, it would be able to get more purchase and be able to get that having power.
Yeah, but eventually, however, Saturn does break down. Demolisher almost gets flipped over in the process, and Matilda's chainsaw goes right through Saturn.
And you've got that weird little moment where Demolisher ends up kind of in the middle between the two, and you're not sure whether it's deliberate trying to save Saturn or just sheer bad luck. But either way, he's lucky to come out.
I think if Demolisher didn't get in the way, I think Matilda could have actually sawn Saturn in half.
Probably.
Because Matilda's chainsaw went right through it like a knife through butter.
Dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Razor blade through a fart. Warmth.
Yep. So Demolisher gets a standing ovation as well when they get back to the pits. And understandably so. Great driving as well. And now we come up to perhaps one of the more deflating moments of not just the episode, but of the series. So it's Cunning Plan versus Demolisher. So Demolisher backs away from Cunning Plan to get a bit of a charge in, but Cunning Plan's having none of it. First drive in, Demolisher turns up and over. Match is done in seconds.
Poor kid.
It's another case of blink and you miss it, and you've got to feel sorry for little Sam. And the post-match interview with Philippa Forrester, if you can watch that and not have a lump in your throat for poor Sam, you're not human.
Heart of stone.
He learns from it. He comes back. He is the epitome of that Dave Grohl quote about you've got to really suck at something, get better at it.
Yeah, he comes back. He comes back to win the Featherweight Championship.
He comes back in season 2, and he's almost a seasoned veteran at this point. He's like, "Yeah, I got taken out. I learned the lesson. I've come back. This is what I'm going to do."
At that age is incredible.
It's also quite funny as well because during that fight in Series 2, like, we don't see the full fight. It's shown in like a recap package against Armadillo, who, fun fact, was driven by the owner of Vector of Armageddon in this episode. So those two kind of small world going on. But during it, Demolisher does actually get thrown over on its back, but does manage to self-right because Bash accidentally helps rewrite them, but they dominate Armadillo completely and win the Featherweight crown. So hats off to the kid.
The whole Streamec thing wasn't really... Nobody'd really cottoned on to that idea at this point, had they?
Yeah, it wasn't until Cassius in Series 2 that's when it started happening.
Yeah. And watching the learning curve of the Roboteers through the series that I watched for years, through the few seasons that I watched over the years, it's fascinating. Somebody has an idea and everybody picks up on it. Somebody improves it and it comes up with something else. And you go from little nippy, what the hell was that? Flying past you, creatures like Demolisher, to something as complicated and as beautiful as Razor.
Yeah.
Or the American equivalent of Razor.
The modern one that we've seen that I showed you before, Quantum. Or the BattleBots one, Warhead.
Warhead. Couldn't remember what the Razor in the US was called, but Warhead. It's almost Neanderthal to Homo sapiens level jump.
Yeah. The other thing to note as well, Oliver Steeples does celebrate, but he does actually say sorry to the crowd because he wishes that the match actually went on longer and he got a bit of a fight out of it.
Yeah, it's sometimes how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, because he even says as well, he even compliments Bugs in after he beats it, even saying, "Look at its paintwork, it looks fantastic." So, as much as he is kind of the socially awkward guy, he's also very sporting, because we've seen throughout this episode he helps Demolisher try to finish the race,
tries to.
compliments Bugs, and does apologise about how quickly he dispatched Demolisher, even though that wasn't his intention.
Yeah, there's a good heart under the geekiness, you know?
Yeah.
So, guys,
what's that?
Same could be said for a lot of the guys, really. There are good hearts underneath the geek.
Absolutely. So, wrapping up for this episode, so that was Heat D. So, overall, we're gonna ask you, who was your least favourite robot of the episode, and who was your most favourite robot of the episode?
Least favourite, I would say Saturn.
I think I'd probably say Vector of Armageddon. Like, I like Saturn partly because of the quirkiness of the design. Like, I'm one for quirkiness, you know?
I think for me, my least favourite is Crazy Tokyo. Nothing against the guys at all, but at the same time, the robot does kind of look like a mouldy sock that gains sentience. I'd say most favourite, I think we're all going to agree on this one, Demolisher.
Yes. Yes.
Demolisher is a lovely piece of elegant engineering, but I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me in trouble here. I wanted to see more of Vector of Armageddon. It could have done so much more.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement. I think, in a way, out of all of these, the best looking one is Vector of Armageddon. That could have gotten quite far.
Yeah. Like we've said, it's just pure bad luck of the draw that it ended up against
All these other ones. Because
quick machines. I mean,
literally
in
all
any
of
other
the...
round, it would have held its own.
Yeah, literally all of the other gauntlet runs that... every single gauntlet run that was in this episode would have cleared you in any heat in Series 1 or 2. It's just so unlucky that it happened to be last in this heat.
Yeah, it's just pure bum luck.
Okay, so who had the best gauntlet run and who had the worst gauntlet run in your eyes?
I'd probably say that Demolisher had the best run.
What was it you said to me earlier on?
Demolisher goes new.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say my least favourite, probably Vector of Armageddon, sadly.
Oh, it's just pure...
May I look at my notes to remember who I put as mine?
I'm just sitting there thinking, oh, you poor bugger, to get such a... to manage to engineer it with such a low ground clearance, and then that be its weakness is just heartbreaking.
I'd probably say that Crazy Tokyo was my least favourite of the gauntlets, because it's like it avoided Matilda, but not for long, and then they both got springs.
And then...
Not very entertaining, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's entertaining when Matilda's arse caught fire.
Another
well,
thing as well,
yeah.
do you know what would have been a good heat final? Imagine what Vector of Armageddon versus Cunning plan would have looked like. Because I actually think Cunning plan would not be able to get under Vector.
I don't think it would have got under that ground clearance because it was literally paper thin.
I think as well with
Armageddon would have given Oliver a good run for his money.
Yep. Also, best performer in the trials, easily this one, Demolisher. Demolisher easily wins that one for best performance. Head to heads, who, including the heat final and the other two fights, which was the best fight?
Can we just clarify? The worst one was the final because it was blink and you'll miss it. There was nothing there.
Pretty much. I'd say the best fight, probably Demolisher versus Saturn. That was the closest we got to an even match.
Yeah, that actually gave you something to really get behind. Everything else was blink and you'll miss it, and for the final to be over so quickly was actually really anticlimactic.
Yeah, so you'll get that a lot. You'll get some good build up. You'll get some good build up fights, but then the heat final kind of underperforms.
Kind of like the opposite of episode 1 in a way. Instead of it being too short, it's way too long. It's way too short.
Yeah. So overall, for these robots, which one that didn't get the heat final would you have loved to have seen get a second chance? I think universally we're all agreeing here. Vector of Armageddon.
Yes. Absolutely.
If he'd taken another route, I think he would have done it.
Yeah. He was lucky to get over that first ramp and not have a clearance problem there, and I think that gave him
a bit too much confidence.
It gave him a confidence that ended up blowing him out of tension for the second. If he'd taken a flat route for the second, he would have been through.
I feel like, because he seemed like a good driver, he could have taken the maze, I think, quite easily.
Easily.
But as we say, what could have been?
Indeed.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Absolutely. And to wrap this up, that was Babbit and Mystic. I've been CJM. Thank you for watching. On the next episode, we meet a giant cold fusion team. We also get a remote control car that's literally sitting in a giant sphere. And we go to a maze, and we get stuck.
Oh boy.
Until the next time, see you later, guys.
Sayonara.
Bye.